Welcome back to another episode of On the Mic. We have another incredible episode lined up for tonight. But first, as always, got some business to take care of. Today's episode is brought to you by Firefly Outdoor and Marine. Make sure to check out their shore stacker boxes, their navigation lights, and as winter gets closer, you are going to want to check out their Mizu foul weather gear and their tech suits. Stay comfortable on the water all the time with Firefly Outdoor and Marine. Make sure to be seen with Firefly Outdoor and Marine. Check them out at their website at www.fireflymarine.com. Once again, that's fireflymarine.com. And YOLO Tech. Make sure to check out YOLO Tech at www.yolotech.com. Always be recording with YOLO Tech. We have one heck of a show tonight. Joining us on the mic now, what this young angler has done in his career on the Bassmaster Elite Series is, in my mind, the best 2 years to a start of a career that we've ever seen. Two blue trophies in 2 years, a Rookie of the Year, back-to-back second place finishes in AOY points, and one swing of the rod here or there, and it could have went in his favor for AOY. But what he has done in 2 years is just unprecedented. Joining us on the mic tonight is Trey McKinney. So without further ado, we got a lot to talk about with Trey, so we're going to jump right into this week's edition of On the Mic. Hope you enjoy the show. We're on the mic with Bassmaster Elite Series angler Trey McKinney. What's going on, man? How you doing this morning? Or actually this afternoon now, Trey.
Yes, sir. Doing great. How about you?
Oh, real good, man. Couldn't be better. We're going to get this thing rolling. Let's talk a little bit about your off season. And, your second love after fishing is waterfowl hunting. But what's your off season like when your off season actually gets started, and how much hunting do you actually get a chance to do during the off season?
Absolutely. I try to hunt every day that is free, and that's usually for me. We usually get done at the end of August, and so usually about middle of September, end of September, I head to Canada, and I hunt up there for probably 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or so. And then I'll come home, and that's when I really get my off season, because usually deer hunting, the rut's not quite on yet. When I get back, usually it's about on right now. Honestly, a couple more cold nights and they'll start running. I've already got a few pictures of a few running already, but then usually right now in this off season, there's a little time frame where there's really, unless I wanted to go back way up north, there's no way I can really duck hunt around here, because it's usually too early. Either we don't have birds or the seasons are not in yet. So usually I'll try to chase a deer till then. Usually try to kill me one if I can find one that is the right one. And then about probably November 8th or so, 10th, I usually start traveling again and line up duck hunts wherever. We can go out to Oklahoma, Texas. There's Kansas, there's Illinois, Missouri. Those are usually, I go to Arkansas a little bit sometimes, but there's so much pressure down there now, I usually don't go over there, but there's a lot of places I love to go, and usually I'll hunt, probably try to get every day till, try to get probably middle December, and usually that's when I usually got to start going off and pre-fishing, with a classic lake, where we're going this year in Knoxville, or, Gunnersville, stuff like that. So what I'm going to try to do this year is get that done middle of December, pre-practice, the classic, Gunnersville, Lake Martin, and then try to make it home for the last 2 weeks of duck season, which is always the best, and probably end of January, and then that's when I'll usually start going back fishing again.
Right. Now, is ducks your favorite birds to hunt, or do you have another favorite bird to hunt?
I hunt a lot of quail sometimes when the opportunity provides itself. There's just not many around anymore. There's usually you got to go down to Texas or Mexico. That's right up there with ducks and geese, but I don't know. It's something about them. That's kind of my love, really, is waterfowl on a whole, whether it's hunting ducks or because it's fun. You get to socialize. You get to have a group of your buddies. You go out there, have fun, make jokes. It's a good time to get away, kind of a mental refresher. Nothing stressful about it. Some days they don't do it how you think they would, but at the grand scheme of things, you're not doing it for money. It's for fun, and it's to me it's a lot like fishing.
Right.
For me personally, because all waterfowl or deer or anything in the outdoors has a pattern, and it's pretty cool to just kind of learn why they do when they do it a lot of times. So it kind of I guess infatuate would be kind of like an addiction to kind of figure them out. So it's definitely a love of mine. I love calling, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to watch you master a certain sound or something you like, and the birds actually respond to it. It's pretty cool.
Right. Now, what would you be doing if you weren't able to be living the dream as a professional bass angler? What do you think you would be doing?
Dude, that's a hard question. I've bass fished so hard I hadn't even thought about it. I was like, I'm gonna go down with the ship on this one. It's kind of the thing. Whether I had no other options, I had no other desires, and I was just kind of gonna go and work as hard as I could to where hopefully I didn't have to think about it. And I've been very blessed with that. The Lord's opened so many doors at just the right time where I could financially be responsible or financially be okay to go fishing. So we've had a lot of doors blessed, but I don't really know anymore. It'd probably be something to do. I didn't go to college. I'm not book smart. I'm more of doing stuff, just seeing it how you do it type of deal.
Yeah.
So, maybe try to. I don't even know. It would have to be something in the outdoors. I couldn't do anything inside like that. It's just not me. Even when I go to travel to towns and I stay at a city for 3 or 4 days, I feel like I'm in a cage. I don't. There's nothing to go do. There's no woods to walk in, and I'm like, this is weird, dude. Like I don't know about it. So I don't know. Maybe doing something with land, or fixing up land and selling it, swapping land. Bad thing is it takes money to do that, so you have to kind of get into it slow. But yeah, definitely something like that.
Yeah. Now, we've heard Mercer say in the past, and I think Davey Height said it a couple times, and they've talked about you, knowing you for, quite a while, even before you actually became an Elite Series pro, talking about how you were destined for this. They all knew that this is where you were going to end up one day. And the irony to that is when you were like 14 and 15 years old, dude. You hear some of these guys that knew of you back then, like the Davey Heights and like the Dave Mercers, and we've heard them talk about that, and unfortunately, the nickname is already used with BP Brandon Polinick, the Prodigy, but if there's one person that's a prodigy that has been born to do what you're doing, dude, it's you, because you started out so young, just kicking some tail. And that's pretty impressive to hear guys like the legend Davey Height talk, that back when you were 13, 14, 15 years old, they knew of you and knew that you were destined to become an Elite Series pro. So when you hear, the legends like that talking like that about you, how does that make you feel? And what do you think about when you hear them, say stuff like that?
I mean, it's an absolute honor, just to have those guys say stuff like that. And, honestly, it just comes down to being blessed, really. When it's crazy how hard, it's sometimes, like I say, there's some people out there that make it by talent. There's some people make it by just pure outworking people. And, and that's the one thing, whether it's not talent or nothing, I was just so, I guess, determined. When the fish beat me is right. That's almost, I like that. I was like, okay, perfect. That don't get me stable, nothing like that. Let's go. Let's figure out something else. And I don't know. Every time that you kind of get whooped or you kind of fall out for a second, you're like, that makes me want to go back even harder. And I mean, it's been an honor to be able and a blessing to be able to do what we've done already. And I couldn't. Really, when I was 16, I mean, I didn't really know what all of it meant. And I started out fishing BFLs and doing pretty good there. And I was like, this is pretty crazy. Like maybe you can do something with this. And I just kept working harder and harder. And it's been an awesome journey. It really has.
That's awesome, man. Rick Cheatham. We couldn't do a podcast without talking a little bit about Rick and what he's meant to you and your career. Tell us a little bit about Rick. How you met Rick, what he is to you, and how Rick's been one of the mentors in your young career that got you to where you are today.
Absolutely. Like I tell people, like, there's so many conspiracies and everything about Rick and all that. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy what people come up with, But Rick to me is almost like a second dad, really. Honestly, like I spent so much time with him, and thank goodness for my dad. He trusted Rick, and and everything else like that. I mean, literally, there was 3 years there that I spent more time with him than I did my own dad. Just traveling around, and the fact that he sacrificed so much to be able to take me and not get anything for reward. Not no pay, nothing like that. Just he told me one day, he was like, I was like, I had a dream, and he said, now I get to live it through you, and that means more than everything. And that's a moment where I was like, I mean, he's just a great human in the grand scheme of things. It's not that he helped me fishing, he helped me, become who I am, walk the narrow line. We all make mistakes. I've made some already. But he's definitely one of those people that, when I was doing something that, was just like, he'd just look at me and be like, Trey, I was like, I know. I was like, he's just been, he's always been there for me. Anything I need, no matter what it is, I would always get, the worst thing, I'd get negative. Yeah. I'd always, when I was younger, I'd get real negative if I lost one or it was just a bad day and everything. He's like, all right, see how far negativity gets you. Go ahead, see how far it does. And, give me all the honestly, just the pep talks that, keep my head in the game, and all of a sudden he'd get me fired back up. I'd catch a 4-pounder, and then we'd get a check. Or I'd catch a 4-pounder, we'd win by a couple ounces. Like, just all the memories that I have with him that I'll always remember is unbelievable. We've won boats together. We've traveled all over the country. We went to Texas together. We went to New York together. Honestly, everywhere. The first year on the Elite Series, not having him there felt weird. Like I was just like, where's my buddy at? Like, because we were always fishing together because that's what we done is fish team tournaments together. And Rick was one of those people that he didn't make it to where he was on talent. He made it where he just worked so hard at it. Yeah. And that if I didn't have him teach me that, talent can only bring you so far. Yeah. And that's one thing that he taught me was, if you're going to be good at something, he said you don't want to look back and be like, if I would have just got my head right and just worked a little harder, what could I have done? 20 years later. And he made me realize that from a bigger picture. And that man's means a lot to me, and he helped me a lot throughout my career because all he really knew how to do when we started fishing, not all he knew how to do, but when his offshore fishing was marking it with buoys on side scan, marking a point or the edge of the point, putting 3 buoys, on the left, the right, and on the point, so then we could see the point we were fishing. And his strong suit was flipping. It's like flipping bushes, flipping laydowns and everything, and it's pretty crazy what we learned together. Yeah. As far as like he didn't know anything about live scope. I didn't know anything about it at first. He didn't know much about he knew a lot about it, but it was just live scope kind of changed it for us, and we kept learning. And then I was blessed because I could learn. He taught me everything. He taught me his shallow game, and then I spent so much time learning with him and everything on live scope and fishing offshore that I got best of both worlds. Fishing without it and fishing with it. And I'm really blessed to have that.
Yeah. Now, you might have already answered this, or you might have just answered this, but we'll ask it anyway. What's the best piece of advice that you ever received as a young angler, that you were able to carry into your pro career?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of the, like shallow fishing, like I say, I mean, one of the the best people I've ever watched do it, I mean, is Greg Hackney. Like, Greg Hackney's, probably, like, still to this day, you know, sometimes I looked up to a lot of people, you know, when I come in the Elite Series just because I didn't get to know them, and now I got to know them, I just really don't think highly of them just because of, you know, how they do things and how they, you know, just certain things. But Greg Hackney's one of those people that I look up to him going into it, and I still look up to him. Like, he's just that guy when it comes to shallow water fishing. And, you know, the best piece of advice that I can give somebody is confidence, you know, not getting negative. And that's one thing I had to learn early. And the only thing that, like, Rick would show me is, like, I would get antsy or I'd get fishing fast and I wouldn't notice it. And just, like, little stuff that he helped me through that and keep confidence. And, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, I was always the type that I couldn't have it sugar-coated. Like, yeah, tell me how it is and let me go. You know, like, that's just how our relationship was, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. So I'd say the main thing that I come out of it with was confidence and no negativity, and honestly, just desire to work hard. Yeah. You can't ever work hard enough. You know, there's a balance in life where, like, now I'm getting to that, is, like, really, if you really want to do it, there's not many other things that you're able to do. Like, you can't really, I know it sounds weird, but if you're going full out, there's not much of a normal life about it. Really. Yeah. Like, honestly, like, these last 2 years, there's not much of a normal life. You know, I get 2 months to hunt, and other than that, it is every single day figuring out how to catch a bass. You know, like, literally every day, and I'm guilty of it. Like, certain times I get burnt out. You know, that's the happy medium that you have to find for yourself. Everybody's different. I'm different. You're different. And there's a happy medium where you got to have just enough free time to keep your mind right, and just enough where you're right on the edge of working as hard as you can. Yeah. And that's what I've really found out with the hunting is, on a piece of advice for somebody, is I fish as hard as I can, and I know my limits. You know, I know when I have that feeling that I'm getting burned out, and I fish horrible. Yeah. I fish careless. I fish fast. I fish with no motive. You know, I fish just kind of, I'm just on the water. It's literally what I am. That's all I'm doing. And when I get to go hunting, when I get that little bit of free time to kind of loosen up, and right now it's only, usually a couple years ago it took me, I'll say literally 2 months to get that fire back, that vibrating feeling that I'm just wanting to go out there on the water. And it's kind of cool because I felt it the other day. I was sitting there and I got that feeling. And it's not even a month, you know, and I've already got that feeling. I've got that little tingle that I was sitting in a chair the other day and I was like, you know, I want to go fishing. Right, you know, like, it just feels good, and I'm excited about this next year, even though, you know, the strategy's going to be different, but you just got to know your limits and push them to the max, really. Yeah,
there you go, man. 2023, you fish the Opens to qualify yourself for the Elites. What is the biggest difference between the Opens and the Elites as far as fishing wise? When you made it to the Elites in 2024, what is the biggest differences that you found from the 1 year you fished with the Opens and now you're in the Elites?
I will say one thing: the Opens were hard. Boy, they were hard. You know, there's so much stress. You know, it's a different feeling when you're in the Opens, trying to make your dream come true. Yeah. You know, you add so much not unnecessary, but so much extra stress. So much. Like, unbelievable. You don't even, like, somebody won't even know what I'm talking about until they make it. Like, it's something that's, like, it's always on the edge. You're always on the edge of your seat. You're always, you know, nervous. You're always ready to go. You know, one fish can cost you everything. And it's just a wrecking ball of nerves in the Opens. And if you can keep calm through that, you keep calm through anything, honestly, just because there's times where it's tougher. You know, you do bad in a tournament, and the bad thing is when you do bad in a tournament, you want to do so good in the next one to make it back that sometimes you mess it up. You know, like, literally, you try so hard that it backfires. And so you got to find a happy medium with the Opens on, you know, having just enough that you realize that you need this much amount of stress, but not going overboard. Because if you do, it'll send you for a ride, you know. And but in the elites, you know, I made it the first year, and for me, the elites is I don't know, since I've the angler of the year since I've had the last 2 years, and the first year I messed it up, and this year, you know, I didn't fish good on that last event just because I had it all like same thing. I had it all balled up for 2 years on wanting to get this done, and I had 3 days of practice, and I blew it. I mean, absolutely blew it. Like I practiced horrible, and I knew it too, but there's nothing I could do about it. I was already there. Like my mind was already gone, and I get in those little moods that I know it wasn't going good. But other than that, the elites were very. I don't know. I like the elites better than the opens. I will put it that way. It's not. It's you know, sometimes it's all right if you're just you can fish for a check, you know, and it's the same thing. You're fishing against, you know, the best.
Yeah.
And you know, it's something that it's a little stress relief when you just do all right and you get a check and you're like, you know what, we still done good. We still made it out. It's time to go to the next one. You know, it's not like the past haunts you as much in the elite series, other than like certain titles as Angler of the Year, stuff like that, classics and stuff. But you know, the opens every tournament haunts you because you're fighting literally to make it there.
Yeah.
But in the elites, you're there. So if you have a bad event, you're like, okay, that's all right. Let's just do better at the next one. Let's stay in the classic cut. You know, I like the elites a lot better.
Yeah, and you know, you hear a lot of anglers that's went through the elites to make, or went through the opens to make it to the elites. You know, they'll say that actually winning an open event is a lot tougher than winning an elite series event because you're fishing against 200 boats versus 100, or in some cases more than 200 in some of the opens. But the main difference between the opens and the elites is in the opens you might have 20, maybe 25 guys that consistently has a chance to win every event. Where you go up to the elites, you have 101, 102 guys. You have the entire field that has a chance to win going into each and every event. So it's almost like a catch-22. The opens are harder because of the boats you're competing against, but in a lot of ways, you know, you really got to play your cards right to win an elite series event because you know, 101, 102 boats has a chance to win any elite series event when you make it to that level. So.
Absolutely, and that's like the thing about it. Like, I guess the thing is like odds, of course. You know, more boats, so more odds. But at the same time, in the opens, you're fishing. You know, not so much anymore, but you're always fishing against local pros.
Yeah.
You're fishing against people that's trying to make it, and you're fishing against sometimes pros. Like it's there's so many like different, I guess, avenues that people fish it for. So it makes it really tough on the opens, but. Like you said on the Elite Series, man, them guys find them so quick. Like I mean, I even got to, you know, these last years we've been blessed, but I even got to step it up, you know, on practice wise, because these guys are, you know, they like feel it in the air on where the bass are. I'm like, dude, what's like, it's crazy. Like I feel like Patrick Walters is like the craziest. Like, I mean, that dude goes on a spree. Like he's going crazy, you know, like. Left, right, in the middle, across the lake, back to the other side of the lake, over to this side of the lake, and I'm just like, dude, what is this guy doing? And then he brings in 25 pounds of tournament. Like it's just like, what in the world? Like it's definitely a new avenue. These guys on the Elite Series are animals.
Yeah. Let's fast forward to your rookie season, man, and arguably, but you know, and some people look at it not arguably, even one of the best. Rookie seasons we've ever seen by an Elite Series rookie, dude. And let's go over real quick your stat line for your rookie season, man. 7 top 30s, 5 top 10s, your first Elite Series win, a Rookie of the Year title, and you already talked about it earlier, finishing second in Angler of the Year points. Now, in your rookie year, dude, and you hear it always talked about like in NFL, MLB, a welcome to the moment. Did you have a welcome to the Elite Series moment in your rookie year?
It was kind of like a real, like when I stood on the stage and, you know, on my second event and Brandon Pollock come up to me, he's like, dude, he's like, just remember, he said, these are so hard to get. He said, cherish every moment. And when he said that, you know, it really kind of kicked in. Is this is it. You know, like this is the Elite Series. This is absolutely awesome. You know, like it was just a crazy and blessing event to kind of get, because I was so nervous about being because I knew, like Rick had told me, I was like, I could be the youngest ever to win one if I, hurried up and got another. I was like, I was trying to rush and everything, and I really didn't know. People had always told me in a tournament, because I never won like a big tournament like that. I'd always consistent. I'm usually pretty consistent and stuff, but I never won a tournament to that magnitude. And when somebody told me, it was like, you'll know when it's your tournament. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and when I caught the jerk bait that I just broke off in the same fish's mouth with the same jerk bait, I'm like, is that one of these moments? Like, is this what he's talking about? And it was just a crazy event. Like St. Clair, like this year, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I was just feeling it. I was just like, we're going left. I'm like, why? I have no idea, but we're going left. And I go left, and you catch a 5-pounder. Like, okay, we're going right. But you go right for whatever reason, and you catch another one. It's just, he was right. Sometimes you know when it's your tournament for sure.
And that's a good segue going into 2025, your second season as a pro dude. And you just talked about BP, telling you on stage, cherish the moment because this doesn't come around that often. But we're going to talk about your second season. Forget a sophomore slump, man. You always hear about the sophomore slump being talked about, no matter what it is in professional sports in general. But you put a damper on the sophomore slump, dude. Another incredible season. You might have even one-upped it in your second year, dude. You had 8 top 30s, 5 top 10s with another blue trophy. But, and there's that but we're going to talk about. I think you might know what we're talking about. Unfortunately, there's been a few seconds in your young career, and these seconds are in statistic lines that there's only one place, and that's first. And we're going to talk about the 3 seconds right now. Second place in last year's Classic, which was your first Classic. And you just came off another second place finish in AOI points to Chris Johnson, which, you both 2024 and 2025 was you and Chris 1 and 2 in Angler of the Year points. And the incredible thing about both of those seasons, dude, is you ended up second place in AOI points. Your rookie year, a 93rd on Smith Lake, which that ended up being the only check you missed, the only top 50 you missed that entire year. And last season, you started out the year, dude, 89th on the St. John's, but was able to rebound and still take second place in Angler of the Year points, man. Looking back, was there anything that you would have done different in last year's Classic or your first 2 years on tour that you think would have made a difference in your final results for the end of the year?
Absolutely. This year was definitely hands down, like, all I had to do was catch 5 12-inchers at St. John's. Like, that's all I had to do is catch 5. Like, I was struggling so bad that first day, dude. I caught 2 line burners. Like, I'm talking line burners. And I was like, no way. Like, okay, so like, the first year in St. John's, everybody knows I ran way up, and because literally the only way I found it is I couldn't catch Jack on St. John's. I don't know what that place is. I don't know why it's got me. And literally last year I'd been in the same boat, but I was like, heck with it. If I can't catch them anywhere else, why don't we just go to the absolute farthest place I can? And it looked like a river. I'm like, bet, we're going up there because I like rivers. And so I went up there, found them. I'm like, okay, good. And I had those couple penalties, which cost me a top 10 there. And the next year I'm doing the same thing. Nobody knows. Well, I guess a lot of people watch live or something, because I literally never saw a boat, not one boat, last year. And I went up there this year, and there was probably 15. And literally 15. I know a lot of people were talking about it, and a lot of people were talking about, I forget if people asked me, how did you even go up there and all this stuff? And I was wondering, there might not be, there's not going to be anybody. And I rounded that corner, and there were people everywhere. And literally, I had the first boat, and I went up there, And even in the tournament, I still had the same mindset. I'm like, no, they're not going to run all the way up here. They're not going to run up here. So I stopped on the first place, and I was just going to run it the other way. Even though my limit spot was at the other side, I didn't think it really mattered because I thought I had it all to myself, which was wrong. And I started on a spot, caught one line burner, caught another line burner, and right as soon as then, I thought, okay, maybe I might be able to catch a limit here. It was kind of getting slower, but I knew that's where the biggest fish were. And Scott Martin ran by me, another boat ran by me, another boat ran by me, another boat ran by me. I'm like, oh, where are they going? Where are they going? There's no way they found those places. And I run up, and every single boat was sitting on every single spot I had found up the river. And I had no more spots. And I was out, I know the spot Scott Martin found. I know if I would have asked him, he would have let me pull in and catch some. But I was so spun out, I didn't even think about it, because that's all I had to do was be like, hey, Scott, can I just get, because there was a ton of fish there, I was like, can I just get 3 more, and I'll leave. And I know he would have said yes, and because it was a huge spot, and that's all I had to do, and I think I would have had a really, really good chance at winning the end of the year this year. But it's, like you said, it's easy to look back, but in the time, I was like scrambling, like, I got to go find something new, I got to go catch a limit. And I just freaked out and started just running stuff. And come to the end of the day, and I went all the way back to the boat ramp to 2 line burners.
Yeah. Well, man, and it's the old saying, as a tournament angler, too, it's always easy to second guess yourself after the event's over with. What coulda, shoulda, woulda, And it all comes down to, and that's another thing it's talked about in the world of fishing too, is decision making. Tournaments are won and tournaments are lost on decisions. And what would have happened if you would have went straight to your fish instead of hitting a spot and then thinking you were going to get up there and nobody be there? And it's kind of how the cookie crumbled, man.
That's why I always say fishing's like chess.
Yeah.
Whoever makes the right moves at the end of the day wins.
That's a good analogy, man. Just like chess, dude. I want to talk a little bit before we finish this thing up. I want to talk about you've done something this past year that was really special. And you were able to fish for Team USA and bring back the gold medal for USA once again. Talk a little bit about that, and what was that like, man, to be able to fish for your country with Team USA? We talked about it a little bit and did a little interview about that at ICAST, but tell us again a little bit about what that was like, what the feeling was like to actually be able to win gold, man, for your country in fishing.
Absolutely. I mean, it was awesome. Like down in Mexico, it's a little sketchy, of course, but that's what made it more fun. I was with a good group of guys. Matt Pangrak and Andrew Upshaw won it, and with Scott Martin and Scott Canterbury. I love Scott Canterbury. He's funny. He'll always keep you laughing no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
He's serious. If you're about to die, if you're in a pickle, like it don't matter what it is, it's gonna turn funny. And it was a good time with that group of guys going and just having fun fishing as a team. And it was good. Suppers. We'd all go out to eat, socialize, and to see all the other teams with just as much drive as what we had. I didn't realize how many other countries like bass fishing. And these guys had just the nicest boats as we had, and they were into it. They were fired up.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to see that and be in a place where you'd never thought you'd be fishing in Mexico with my own rig that I drove through the border to get down there, and it was pretty cool. I mean, heck, I had a trolling motor problem. We had a Mexican that had a trolling motor that he was like, hey, man, I'll let you use my trolling motor. I'm like, okay, perfect, And it didn't match anything, but the bolt holes weren't right. We didn't have any tools. It was me, Scott Martin, Scott Canterbury, and Andrew Upshaw. I mean, just jack rigging the heck out of my boat to get a trolling motor on it. We had it ratchet strapped to the front. I mean, it was just a good time. Overall, it was just a great time, just hanging out with the guys, going and enjoying everybody's company, and it was so fun, and it means the world to me to be able to bring it back again, getting gold, to kind of represent, like you said, represent USA.
Yeah.
And it's pretty special to see that and to be able to take our flag across across the stage.
Yeah, yes, sir. The 2026 schedule. When it was first released, what stood out to you first about the new schedule release coming out for this year?
Yeah, I mean, so the schedule's good, for sure. Like, I mean, the coin flip, I definitely, I thought it would have been better if they would have just, chose, like, all right, Arkansas River, no scope, just pick whichever ones are no scope, put the lakes that are scope and lakes for scope. But, hey, that's completely fine, because either way they'd have got judged
Yeah,
however they done it, as far as that goes. But, I mean, it's just going to be a new strategy. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was the guy. I fished the bank. I fished shallow. I covered water. That's how I fished.
yeah,
Even if I was using scope, it was on the bank, like just looking for logs to cast at, stuff like that. And that's how I made my checks. And it's a very consistent way to make a check. I wasn't never won any big events or nothing, but I could always stay in the check range.
yeah,
And that's who I was. That's how I fished. Doing whether it's who knows whether it's fishing at home in BFLs or opens or however. But these last 2 years have been so dominated by it that I've kind of had to switch my strategy over to just learning everything I can and how to use scope,
yeah,
which is completely fine. And now that I'm gonna have to, 2 years is a long time to create a habit.
yeah,
You do something for 2 years, it's a habit. And so that's when I'm gonna have to get back into the rhythm of going back to just chunking and winding and figuring it out, and running patterns and running areas. And I can't see everything. Usually in practice now, I don't even have to cast. I'll usually just troll down the bank or troll
yeah,
wherever I want, and usually I can kind of tell the size, what I'm wanting to fish for, what I'm wanting to do. Understand how it lays out better, whether I'm using scope or not. That's the thing I'm going to miss it for is, whatever people cast it out, catch it out wrong. But, like a lot of things for me, what I want to miss it for is just understanding what's on the bottom, what's going on.
yeah,
Even flipping bushes sometimes. I'll be flipping bushes, and most of the time I turn my live scope off just because I don't need any extra noise when I'm flipping bushes. But I've had a time where the water's high, and there'll be a bush underneath the water to my right that you would have never seen, never known that was there, and I see it on live scope. I flip over and catch a 3.5 pound or something. It's just little stuff like that is what's gonna kind of suck without it. It's just like they're knowing like where a rock vein comes out, anything else like that. So that's kind of the thing that I'm gonna miss it for, because I'm a structure. I like structure. And that's what I always use live scope, even when I first started using it, was just hitting my cast. Like, now I'm going to have to be out there throwing at a brush pile, lining up with a telephone pole and a tree, hitting my brush pile every cast. Like, before, like with live scope, I just pitch it out there, find out where my brush pile is. So it'll definitely be a different game, a step back for sure. But we'll just have to, I know that's how I used to always fish. I'll just have to get that guy back.
yeah. What lake are you most looking forward to going to?
Most looking forward to, we got a few really good ones, to be honest. Like, we have the Pascatank River. I mean, giants live in there. Like, that place is awesome. It's just so dangerous. Like, everywhere you go to fish, you got to run like 60 miles across the most rough water there is.
Yeah,
And do anything like that. So that one would be great if we could do like Major League and put in on the rivers that we were going to fish.
yeah,
I'd be super excited about that one, just because there's literally giants everywhere. It's just getting to them. Like, literally, you beat yourself to death going across the ocean to get to them.
Yeah.
Santee, that thing's been on fire. Every time you see a tournament, it takes incredible weight.
Mhm.
That's a really, really exciting one. Let's see, what else? Kind of sad, I'm not going to lie, we're not going to Texas. Kind of sad about that.
yeah,
Florida, I'm not that sad about. Let's see, what else? I would say those two are my, like the Murray's really fun. Those three over there are probably going to be my favorite for sure.
yeah. How
And
about your
Arkansas River would be pretty cool.
Right? How about your least looking forward to?
I don't know, maybe Gunnersville or Gunnersville or Tom Bigby. Yeah, probably one of those.
Right, right.
It's Gunnersville awesome. Like, that thing has been on fire. But I've just got day job doing nowadays. Like, something always happens. Like, I've only fished 3 tournaments there. The first tournament, had motor problems, didn't even get to fish. Practiced all week. I was like, oh, I got them found. Next tournament, something happened with the boat. Didn't get fish. Next tournament, found all the fish. Then they left. Then I did like just one spot out of a shed. Like, and that place is, I don't know, it's confusing. It's like, it's so many miles and miles and miles of grass that it's overwhelming.
Right.
Really, honestly, like, it's so overwhelming. Yeah. And that's something I'm gonna have to get over is that right there. I think that one will definitely be my scary one though, to be honest, just because I'm gonna get in my head and I'm gonna have to try to not do it. But there's definitely gonna be a little bit of it happening just because I make so much stuff happen on that lake. But I fished a lot on it. I mean, a good amount really. But I just the overwhelming amount of grass always gets to me. And that's one thing I've never grown up around, or I've never really had time to fish, was that style of fishing. So I haven't ever, grown accustomed to it, or even, had a lot of knowledge doing it, just because I haven't had it hardly any time doing it.
Right. Yeah, for people that want to be able to follow you, Trey, what social media accounts and how can people look you up and follow you on social media?
Absolutely. So I have Trey McKinney Fishing is my Instagram and Facebook, and I'm still working on the YouTube. Hopefully next year we'll have a YouTube channel, and I'll probably do it the same as Trey McKinney Fishing. Hopefully when that gets there next year. But right now it is just Instagram and Facebook at Trey McKinney Fishing.
Awesome, man. Trey, it's always a pleasure when I get a chance to sit down and kick it with you, dude. Always a fun time, man. And I look forward to being able to kick it once again with you in Knoxville coming up Media Day at the Classic coming up. So anyway, Trey, man, I appreciate the time on your off season. We all know how precious your off season is, and to spend a few minutes talking to us on the mic, we appreciate it, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Trey, thanks again, brother. We'll talk soon, man.
Absolutely. See you, man.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of On the Mic with Trey McKinney. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Norman Lee Fishing. This has been an NLF production.